Ezra chapters 4-6. Ezra chapter 4. And when the adversaries of Yehudah and Benjamin heard that the sons of the exile were building the Heykal of Yahweh Elohim of Yisrael, they came to Zerubbabel and the heads of the fathers and said to them, Let us build with you, for we seek your Elohim as you do, and we have slaughtered to him since the days of Esarhaddon, sovereign of Ashur, who brought us here. But Zerubbabel and Yahshua and the rest of the heads of the fathers of Yisrael said to them, It is not for you and for us to build a house for our Elohim, but we alone build to Yahuah Elohim of Yisrael, as sovereign Koresh, the sovereign of Paras, has commanded us. And it came to be that the people of the land were weakening the hands of the people of Yehudah and troubling them in their building, and hiring counselors against them to thwart their plans all the days of Koresh, sovereign of Paras, even until the reign of YHWH, sovereign of Paras. And in the reign of Ch4-6, in the beginning of his reign, they wrote an accusation against the inhabitants of Yehudah and Jerusalem. And in the days of Artaxerxes, Bishlam, Mithredath, Tavael, and the rest of their companions wrote to Artaxerxes, sovereign of Paras, and the letter was in Aramaic and translated Aramaic. Rehum the governor and Shimshai the scribe wrote a letter against Jerusalem to sovereign Artaxerxes, thus, Rehum the governor and Shimshai the scribe and the rest of their companions, the judges and the emissaries, the councils, the officials, the people of Erech and of Babel and of Shushan, the Dehoites and the Elamites, and the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Asnapar took into exile and settled in the cities of Shamaron and the rest beyond the river. And now this is a copy of the letter that they sent him to sovereign Artaxerxes from your servants, the men beyond the river. And now let it be known to the sovereign that the Yahudim who came up from you have come to us at Jerusalem, and are building the rebellious and evil city, and are completing its walls and repairing the foundations. Let it now be known to the sovereign that if this city is built and the walls completed, they are not going to pay tax, excise, or toll and cause the revenue of the sovereign to suffer loss. Now, because we have eaten salt from the palace, it was not fitting for us to see the sovereign's shame. Therefore we have sent and informed the sovereign, so that search be made in the book of the records of your fathers, and you find in the book of the records, and know that this city is a rebellious city, and causing loss to sovereigns and provinces. And revolt was stirred up in it since days of old, for which cause this city was destroyed. We inform the sovereign that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are completed, then you have no portion beyond the river. The sovereign sent a message to Rehum the governor and Shimshai the scribe, to the rest of their companions who dwell in Shamaron and the rest beyond the river. Peace! And now the letter you sent to us has been plainly read before me, and I made the decree, and a search has been made, and it was found that this city in days of old has lifted up itself against sovereigns, and that rebellion and revolt have been made in it. And mighty sovereigns have been over Jerusalem, who have ruled over all beyond the river, and tax, excise, and toll were paid to them. Now make a decree to make these men cease, and that this city be not built until the command is given by me. And beware of negligence to do this. Why should damage increase to the hurt of the sovereigns? Now when the copy of the letter of sovereign Artaxerxes was read before Rehum and Shimshai the scribe and their companions, they went up in a hurry to Jerusalem against the Yahudim, and made them cease by might and power. Then the work of the house of Eloah, which is at Jerusalem, ceased, and it ceased until the 2nd year of the reign of YHWH, sovereign of Paras. Ezra chapter 5. Then the Nevi'im, Haggai the Nevi, and Zechariah son of Iddo, Navu, to the Yahudim who were in Yehudah and Jerusalem, in the name of the Eloah of Yisrael upon them. Then Zerubbabel son of Shealtiel and Yeshua son of Yozadak rose up and began to build the house of Allah which is in Jerusalem. and the Nevi'im of Eloah were with them, helping them. At that time, Tattenai, the governor beyond the river, and Ch4-6, and their companions came to them and said this to them: Who has made you a decree to build this house and to complete this wall? Then we told them what the names were of the men who were building this building, and the eye of their Eloah was upon the elders of the Yahudim, so that they could not make them cease until the matter went to YHWH. And then they sent back a letter concerning this. This is a copy of the letter that Tattenai, governor beyond the river, had sent, and Ch4-6 and his companions, the officials beyond the river, to YHWH, the sovereign. They sent a letter to him, and this was written in it: To YHWH, the sovereign, all peace. Let it be known to the sovereign that we went into the province of Yahudah to the house of the great Eloah, which is being built with heavy stones, and timber is being laid in the walls, and this work goes on speedily, and is Baruch in their hands. Then we asked those elders, saying this to them: Who made you a decree to build this house and to complete these walls? And we also asked them their names in order to inform you, so we could write the names of the men at their head. And this is the answer they gave us, saying: We are the servants of the Eloah of Shamayim and earth, and we are rebuilding the house that was built many years ago, which a great sovereign of Yisrael built and completed. But because our fathers provoked the Eloah of Shamayim, he gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, the Kazdite, who destroyed this house and exiled the people to Babel. But in the first year of Koresh, sovereign of Babel, Koresh the sovereign made a decree to build this house of Eloah. And also the gold and silver utensils of the house of Eloah, which Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the Heykal that was in Jerusalem and brought to the temple of Babel, those sovereign Koresh took from the temple of Babel, and they were given to one named Sheshbazzar, whom he had made governor, and said to him: Take these utensils, go, deposit them in the Heykal in Jerusalem, and let the house of Eloah be built on its place. Then the same Sheshbazzar came, laid the foundation of the house of Eloah which is in Jerusalem, and since that time even until now it has been in building, and it is not completed. And now, if it seems good to the sovereign, let a search be made in the sovereign's treasure house, which is there in Babel, whether it is so that a decree was made by sovereign Koresh to build this house of Eloah at Jerusalem, and let the sovereign send us his decision concerning this. Ezra chapter 6. Then YHWH the sovereign made a decree, and a search was made in the house of the books, wherein also the treasures of Babel were kept. And at Achmetha, in the palace which is in the province of Madai, a scroll was found, and this was written in it: In the first year of sovereign Koresh made a decree concerning the house of Eloah in Jerusalem. Let the house be built in the place where they brought offerings, and its foundation strongly laid, its height 60 amah, its width 60 amah, 3 rows of heavy stones, and 1 row of new timber. Let the expenses be paid from the sovereign's house, and let the gold and silver utensils of the house of Eloah, which Nebuchadnezzar took from the Heykal which is in Jerusalem and brought to Babel, be returned, and go to the Heykal which is in Jerusalem to its place, and deposit them in the house of Eloah. Now Tattenai, governor beyond the river, and Ch4-6, and your companions, the officials beyond the river, stay away from there. Leave the work of this house of Eloah alone. Let the governor of the Yahudim and the elders of the Yahudim build this house of Eloah on its place. And I make a decree as to what you should do for the elders of these Yahudim for the building of this house of Eloah. Let the exact expense be paid to these men from the sovereign's resources out of the taxes beyond the river, so that they are not stopped. And whatever they need, both young bulls and rams and lambs for the burnt offerings of the Eloah of Shamayim, wheat, salt, wine, and oil, according to the request of the Kohanim who are in Jerusalem, let it be given them day by day without fail, so that they bring pleasing offerings to the Eloah of Shamayim and pray for the life of the sovereign and his sons. And I make a decree that whoever changes this word, let a timber be pulled from his house, and let him be impaled, hanged on it, and let his house be made a dunghill because of this. And Allah, who has caused his name to dwell there, overthrows any sovereign or people who put their hand to change, to destroy this house of Allah which is in Yerushalayim. I, YHWH, make the decree, let it be done promptly. Then Tatenai, governor beyond the river, Shethar, Bozani, and their companions promptly did according to what YHWH the sovereign had sent. And the elders of the Yahudim were building, and they were Barak through the Neviah of Haggai, the Neviah, and Zechariah, son of Iddo, and they built and finished it according to the decree of the Eloah of Yisrael, and according to the decree of Koresh, and YHWH, and Artaxshashta, sovereign of Paras. And this house was completed on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of sovereign YHWH. Then the children of Yisrael, the Kohanim, and the Levites, and the rest of the sons of the exile did the dedication of this house of Allah with joy, and offered at the dedication of this house of Allah 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and as a sin offering for all Yisrael, 12 male goats, according to the number of the tribes of Yisrael. And they appointed the Kohanim to their divisions, and the Levites to their divisions, over the service of Allah in Yerushalayim, as it is written in the book of Moshe. And the sons of the exile performed the Pesach on the 14th day of the 1st month, for the Kohanim and the Levites had cleansed themselves, all of them were clean, and they slaughtered the Pesach for all the sons of the exile, and for their brothers the Kohanim, and for themselves. And the children of Yisrael who had returned from the exile ate together with all who had separated themselves from the uncleanness of the Gentiles of the land, in order to seek Yahuah, Elohim of Yisrael. And they performed the festival of Matzot 7 days with joy, for Yahuah caused them to rejoice, and turned the heart of the sovereign of Ashur toward them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of Elohim, the Elohim of Yisrael.